Is this camera ready?
Is this camera ready? 3, 2, 1, dodgeball!
What happens when everyone refuses to pick up a ball?
You
hear boo on the crowd.
Well, I don't actually see that too often for it to be like a huge issue.
The booze?
No, nobody picking up.
Oh, yeah.
I think the booze encourage people
So
picking
usually
up.
when it's like 2 girls and another girl.
Yeah.
You all can't throw.
But like,
Like me and James.
2 girls.
Yeah.
I think it's the nature of how the VDL game works, where it's like fast paced and like not picking up a ball that slows the game down by a lot, and that's why people say like, "Woo, we want to see more action." Right?
Yeah.
Should there be? You think there should be a rule or what?
Not putting you on the spot, but the head of the rules committee. What do you
Well,
think, sir?
I think it's hard because if you implement a rule, you're naturally penalizing one side. And I mean, it's for the sake of moving the game forward, but I mean, we don't really want to put one situation in a disadvantage just so we can advance the game where, I mean, it's not a huge issue to begin with, and it doesn't happen often enough where we see like 4 or 5 minute games.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. In Tier 1, there's that unwritten rule or etiquette where it's either majority of the players throws, or if one-sided is like what is it, heavily favored when it comes to gunners, they have to throw, right?
Yeah, gunners will always throw. Catchers will always just give up a ball and catch.
Yeah.
Let's bring this idea up to sort of segue with when nobody picks up a ball, when it's like a 2v1 situation. How do you guys feel about that one person on the team that has 2 players sacrifices themselves so that it just goes to a showdown?
As long as they're on the same page, I think it's fine. But if you're being a dick and just tell the other player to like step off, I think that's an issue. But like,
it's never been done, and I'd like to see that one day.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if
You have to be really
James.
confident. You have to be really confident
I go rock, paper, scissors.
on your showdown skills, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really do a lot of showdowns or particularly good at it, so I'd probably just step off.
It's not gonna
goes better at it.
Yeah.
I can guarantee it's not gonna happen on my Thursday team. So.
As soon as you step out, then the person on the other side doesn't throw right away. The person that didn't step out.
Yeah.
That would be pretty bad.
Like, what if I step out and then my team loses the showdown? Then we both look like idiots.
Yeah.
Is that more of an idiot, or is getting caught looking more like an idiot?
I don't know.
No, I think if you get caught, you tried.
People cheer.
Yeah. You put on a good show.
Yeah. If I was left with Brandon against like Yams or Lauren, and if both of us are tired, I would volunteer to step out though.
Yeah, I mean, any really a lot of players on my list that would be like, hey, I'll He's like, already on it, man. I don't say anything. I'll just pretend to sweep, like do a zim sweep and like really go like
I'm out of bounds.
It'd be just funny because there's no ball there. Just be like some idiot that does a penguin slide. So yeah, thoughts on headshots. As like, don't do it because we don't like it. If you do it by accident, just apologize. And if it's coming towards you, I don't know, duck, move away.
Yes. Yeah.
Or brace yourself. Put your hands in front of you. If you don't want to catch it, put your hands in front of you.
Yeah.
Like it's not worth risking a concussion, especially if somebody like throws really hard hits you.
Yeah. Also, pay attention on the court.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a lot of times you get hit in the head because you're not paying attention, or you're like looking down or something, and then you get dinged in the face and you look like an idiot.
Yeah. But we personally know a lot of people that go concussions.
Yeah.
It's not to be taken lightly.
No, definitely not.
But because sometimes, like, especially like towards the end of playoffs, like people's arm are just getting tired and they lose grip of the ball.
Yeah.
And
then plus like out sweaty.
So yeah, the gym's pretty sweaty. It's kind of nasty. But
just be aware.
Like, I don't want to get hit in the face like near the end where you hit somebody that's sweaty and has no go on your face. Yeah. Put your hands up. You don't want to eat that.
Okay, question question from Sage. Spirit of the game? Question mark.
I like to be competitive, but at the same time, like play for fun. Because if you're not having fun, it's not worth. I don't think it's worth playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's the thing that they started saying recently? It's like we're playing an elementary school game. What is it?
I know Trong said that during
Sean and
playoffs.
Claudia, they say that often. It's
They're like, at the end of the day, you're playing like elementary school kids games.
exactly, yeah. It's not an Olympic sport yet, so don't go too apeshit with this. Right?
Yeah, although it's a sport that you're intentionally trying to hit other people out. Like we're all here to have fun. You want to have fun. You want to let other people have fun. You shouldn't jeopardize like other people's experience for you.
Yeah,
Just
well, the
getting
balls
fun.
are soft. If they're brand new, just sit on them for a little bit.
Yeah. Or fall over.
Fall over it. Fall over it. Make them catch friendly.
But yeah, like be competitive, but be nice. That's it, really.
Yeah. Just don't be a dick.
Yeah, you can be competitive and not be a dick. They're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the IDA rules versus the international rules?
It's only me and James in here that played the IDA and the international rule sets. But the international rule sets, the rule is very different. The balls are smaller, I think 7-inch, right?
Yeah.
And there's no back wall. You can hit multiple people out with a single ball, and also you can catch a ball that bounces off your teammates as well. In that sense, there's more space for exciting catches. But the game is very slow paced compared to IDA. It's more structured. I think it's unless you don't know the strategies behind the scene, what's going on, I think it's very boring for, let's say, beginner players playing that dodgeball. But IDA, more fast-paced. It's easier for beginners to pick up and have fun with it. Yeah. Anything to add?
Yeah. As a player, playing both like two different types of strategies. I enjoy playing both in their own different way. I just feel that as a spectator, if you were to watch the international style, it's a lot more slower, so it may not be as action-packed as unless you know the game or have played it. Then you can sort of anticipate what's happening. But if you're just brand new and you want to just see what dodgeball is like, if you watch international style, a little bit more boring. It's not as appealing. If you watch IDA style, because it's more fast-paced, it's probably a bit more entertaining to watch, right? But as a player, they're both fun. Yeah.
So this is a question from Jray. What should you do in a 2v2 situation when both sides are even in balls and counts?
I think being on the same page as your teammate is very important. You guys kind of have to know what you do. Some people like to stack together. Some people like to split. I personally like to split and kind of just take each other one-on-one and cover each other. But I know people that like to stack. I don't really get it. Do any of you like to stack?
It depends on who you're playing against. Like, there's like one side is like there's an immediate threat on one side, and the other one's like, okay, we can kind of like maintain that one person. Then you stack. But if it's like both sides, I think it all depends on
Who's
who
the
you're
other
playing
person?
against. Who's the other
Yeah.
person on the other side? Because
sometimes it can be a girl who can't really throw and they aren't really a threat.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you can stack, right?
Okay.
Right.
But then you can't let your guard down because sometimes they would just like pull out like, oh yeah, you get hit on the toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Also, I don't think it's good to throw too early. I find Spartans always like to throw early. We throw early, miss, and then they just counter and kill us. So,
yeah.
not good to do that.
Yeah. So for 2v2, what do you prioritize? Like getting the other people out, maintaining ball possession,
Getting the ball out of
Gain the ball from them.
yeah.
What does that do?
Yeah.
What is? Well, I mean,
Well, if you
then they
take
can't
them-
block, and they're you're on the offensive, and you kind of
Yeah.
get to dictate the pace, right?
Plus, if you take the ball away from them, then you can like, if they don't have a ball anymore, then you just stack 2v1 every time.
Yeah.
You just like kill one person, then move on to the next.
Yeah.
Do the next one. So it makes
Okay.
it easier.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. 2v2. What is the worst case scenario? Like what is the worst thing that can happen in a 2v2?
Oh, you get caught out, or you get hit out. I mean, like, the worst thing you can do is that if you're trying to, if your goal is trying to gain ball possession, if you throw early and you don't get your ball back, you're
Yeah.
kind of done. Because then the person that you throw, like, especially if just one side throws first,
Yeah.
then those two we'll just stack up on the last person that has the ball on your side, and they're kind of sitting ducks because you can't do anything. The only thing you can do is try to sweep those balls, but then you're still vulnerable because they'll have another ball to throw at you if you try to sweep.
Okay. Would you guys say it's a good idea if one person plays around, let's say, the stronger player on that team, or?
Well, normally you would do that anyway.
Okay, never mind.
You would try to play. If you have one person that's like, that can kill those two person, then what you want to do is support that person. Okay, you're gonna block for them, try to keep them safe while he tries to kill. Like if he can kill one person,
and try to feed them the balls too if you get a chance.
Yeah.
Though I think the worst thing you can do is if he's getting targeted and you have a ball and you try to pass it to him. That's the worst thing. Yeah.
When you're backing up.
Yeah,
that's the worst.
Let's say like he's already a sitting duck. You have a ball. Like what you want to do is like
cover,
pump fake.
Yeah.
But the worst thing you can do is pass them the ball while they're throwing at him. You can't do it. He'll just get distracted, just trying to pick up that ball. He's like, oh,
it happened too many times.
Way too many times. Way too much.
You also don't want to throw all your balls one at a time, and you just lose all your balls.
Throw it again.
Throw to reset. There's a question from Vincent Pham. Underrated attributes of a good dodgeball player. I think one of the underrated attributes is sweeping the ball and covering. Is like just because like when people watch dodgeball, they always look for like, oh, he throws so hard, oh, he can catch, but nobody pays attention to the people like getting the balls and feeding those people like the ball to.
Yeah, I think the big thing is like knowing when to pass the ball versus when to pick up the ball and cover for your teammates. That's also a skill in its.
Even blocking, I feel like there's people that like when they have the last ball on their side, and then the other team has like balls, and they end up like just blocking everything and not getting ball control.
Yeah,
it's funny because it feels like blocking has been more of an like underrated attribute now. Because back then it was just like. You could throw hard or you can block well because catching wasn't a big thing back then either.
Everybody can catch now.
Now everyone can catch, so now blocking seems to be like now if I have a ball, I don't use it to block. I use it just to bait and then try to catch. So now maybe blocking has become an underrated attribute nowadays.
Yeah, but that ties in with sweeping or maintaining ball position, right?
Yeah.
Like if I look at a team, even if they're throwing really hard or if they're making big catches, like you can generally tell like. I tell myself like, oh, if you can't sweep, you're a noob, because it makes a huge difference to the result of the game too.
Yes.
And also like in tier 1 level, especially the female players, watching Giselle and Niam's especially, like having good prediction or anticipation to move quick on the ball to like retrieve a ball, like I think they're the cream of the crop in tier 1. Like just seeing how fast they move to like sweep those balls. I think Aminta
and Wincy are pretty good at that too. And then you got Zim that just sweeps anything.
Yeah, they're like insanely quick. I think, although they're regarded as really good players, that's one of the very like underrated attributes that they have too.
Well, without balls, you can't kill people.
You can't hit anyone.
Because like if you see lower tier or like
flow chart.
If you see like semi like good players watching like playing like you generally see them just standing there and doing nothing in a situation where like 3 balls like just crosses them and they do nothing. So
I also think like court awareness is very underrated, and patience. Like, you gotta be patient with the ball. You can't just throw it all the time. You gotta know what to do with the ball.
Last ball, right?
Last ball.
And also communicating on the court. I know there's a ton of players that don't talk to each other on the court, and then you have situations where you just keep throwing one at a time. But if you have somebody that can be like, all right, this guy on 3, and then at least you're all synced together, you know what you're doing. Even if somebody gets caught, you're like committed together, and at least there's a game plan going into it instead of just throwing one at a time.
Yeah. Sorry. Just to summarize it. So did we decide on sweeping, court IQ, and also leadership on the court?
Yeah, leadership on the court.
Okay.
All right. So Jordan Holloway asks, should the rules change for playoffs?
No.
Yeah, no.
Why?
Just to keep things consistent. You kind of, you don't like practice for 10 weeks, and then you go into playoffs playing on
Surprise!
Surprise! You
rules,
can't block
right?
with your left hand. You can't block with ball in hand.
Yeah, it's like you don't play basketball with like a volleyball during practice, and you play with a basketball. At the game, right? Like,
Like surprise, we're using rubber balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think he means like the rules are kind of lenient
Oh.
during regular season,
Yeah, that's
and then
possible.
then all of a sudden, it's like, oh,
You know what?
Well,
That makes
I
a little bit more sense.
But I mean, like the rules that they enforce during regular season should be the same rules
I know.
that they should enforce.
but sometimes
in
like somebody steps over the sideline and like.
Well, that's on the refs.
Yeah,
it's on the refs.
yeah, is that now more
Yeah.
like rather than the rules being whatever? Is it more like the refs need to be more enforceable with them during regular
I think
season?
they should be.
I think it's fine because during that 10 weeks of regular plays, I think what was it? Every season there's gonna be new players playing, right?
Yeah.
That 10-week period, it's a time period where they can get
Learn.
familiar with the rule and learn the rules too. As long as like you don't need to necessarily call them out and be like, oh, you're out because you stepped on the sideline. As long as you get the point across, by the time of playoffs.
Well, the only way you can get the point across if you call them out on it is like, hey, you step on the line, you can't step on the line. Then
Yeah,
they won't step on
but generally when I ref towards especially lower tier players or players that just started, I try to be a bit more lenient depending on how significant it is to the result of the game.
Yeah, I
But
guess that's true.
yeah, I tell them, oh, the rule is this way, you should pay attention to it because for playoffs they might not necessarily be lenient, they're going to be a bit more strict. So, if they get the point across and understand the rule, I think it's fine.
As far as actual rule change, there shouldn't be any rule change because that is what you're practicing for during the regular season, and you don't want to get caught off guard with like some new rules.
Yeah.
Be like, what? We didn't know this. When maybe there's like one rule that you know that you can take advantage of during playoffs and nobody knows, and then they change that. Then like, oh, what? It completely changes their game plan.
Yeah.
What's kind of sort of annoying is like when you watch some of the lower tiers in playoffs, and then it's a rule that's been around for the whole season, and they're like, what? I didn't know about this rule.
Yeah.
I see reset a lot, like when they just keep throwing and then they get the ball back and they say, oh, that ball's dead, that ball's dead. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And then blocking with a dead ball as well.
Yeah.
I feel like that's regular. It's like, what? But I blocked. It's like, but that was dead.
Yeah.
It's like, when was it rule good? Since season 15. All right, so the next question comes from Mr. Matt Creamer. What makes a good middle, or what makes a middle good? That's what he said.
Okay, do you want to lead this question?
Mr. Mid.
Enzo and James.
We'll let Enzo lead it.
Well, I thought Enzo was a gun. Like a water gun.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Trying to make you sweaty, yeah.
Yeah, I think just good court awareness, knowing who you're playing with, the strengths of all your players, and basically covering for your corners. I feel like if you keep your corners alive off the opening rush, you've kind of done your job. Get the balls back. Just make sure they don't die.
From playing, I've noticed like a lot of the middles are pretty clutch near the end, because they're usually like one of the last people left in the game, and they usually make the big catch to bring back usually the corners.
We sucked in the beginning.
Yeah.
We come through at the end.
Yeah. Okay, just speaking from experience, playing with Enzo and James, even like on the court, they're really reliable too. But like even off the court with the
Not so much off the court.
no, off the court
I
too.
mean, Jays, yes.
Up in the middle of the
No,
game.
off the court too. With all the team pep talk and everything, I think middle is a very underrated position. They get to see the entire view of what's happening on the right side and the left side.
Yeah.
They're very flexible, and I almost see it as the general on the court. You have to be very vocal, and depending on what they're doing, you kind of have to adapt your play style to it too. So,
Yeah, they're usually the one that calls cross.
Yeah.
And just I play this position. It's my primary position, and I'm not just saying that because I'm biased to it, but I think it's the most difficult position
Oh yeah, it is.
To play well.
to play well. Because one, defensively, your peripheral is the whole court. If you're playing corners, it's usually just an angle, right? And you have the outer bounds to help you as your sweeper too. But if you're playing mid, you gotta be your own sweeper, so to speak. At the same time, once your corners die, you have to be flexible to be able to switch over, because at the end of the day, you always want to have your side spread out rather than have it focused in the middle. So you got to be well aware of how to play the corners as well, on top of doing your job in the middle pretty good. And also, there's a couple of different types of middles. There's the offensive middle, and then there's the defensive middle, whether you start with the ball, whether you don't start with the ball. It's really hard to say which one is more beneficial than the other. It all just really depends on your team dynamics.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the matchups too, right?
Yeah.
Because you got people that some middles are like very good at blocking, where when they have the last ball, like when you have one ball left, you give that person the ball, they target him, and what they do is they absorb all the balls to try to get balls back.
Yeah.
They don't actually throw that ball. Like they just roll it after because it'll be dead.
Yeah.
And then but you end up with like 4 balls on your side.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Yeah. Like generally speaking, if I what for me personally, what distinguishes between a good middle and a really good middle is like if you only have one ball left on your side and the middle has a ball and he ends up like absorbing 4 balls or 5 balls and he survives, I think that's like for me it's a really good indicator that he's really good, like he's done his job like really really well.
Yeah.
And like I said, they're pretty clutch with the catches when they're like the last person left, and they will bring back. That's the person that you want left to be on the court. That's why they don't start with a ball, because you don't want to draw attention to them at the beginning. And when those corners die, they have a chance. Like there's a higher chance of them coming back in because they can make the big catches near the end.
Yeah. Like for you guys, what distinguishes like top class middle versus like he's an okay
Regular
middle? Yeah.
I mean,
For you guys.
Somebody that can do everything.
Yeah.
Like you can catch, you can throw, you can fill in the corners if you need to.
Sweep.
You can sweep.
Yeah.
You can play with a ball, you can play without a ball. Like just
All around.
very all around like jack of all trade player.
If you don't die at the beginning, that's like one great thing.
Yeah.
Because that people kind of rely on you to bring them back.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like I guess to go along with that, you're pretty much the jack of all trades, because usually when people form teams, they look for corners, their guns, and then there's like they want a middle person. They don't want 4 gunners, because that 4th gunner is usually like useless in the middle because they don't know what to do. And usually when you put a gunner in the middle, they're like, I don't know what to do. Like because when you don't start with the ball, they're like, I don't know what to do with the ball. Without a ball. So, but for me, like what really puts a mid really up in the upper echelon is they're more vocal than everyone else in general. You can have the traits of being a well-rounded player, but if you don't talk, if you're not the floor general of your team, the corners don't know what the other corners are doing. But when you're in the mid, you know what everyone else is doing. So you got to be able to sort of dictate what your team needs to be doing. You should also be pretty aggressive and like try to stay up as high as possible, because obviously when you're high as possible, you have a better chance sweeping. But at the same time, you're imposing some sort of threat to the other team as well, right? Even if you don't have a ball, right? Because usually, like you were saying, the mids are usually the clutch ones at the end to make a catch. Even if you just go up there, your presence of potentially catching a person is still up there, right? So I guess that's what makes it for me.
Yeah. I also think it's important to for your middle to be confident in their own skills and what they can do, but at the same time not having an ego and knowing when to defer to your teammates. Versus when you should pick up the ball and when you should help out your own team. Just like not always deferring to your corners to do the work. And also like when you have the ball, like you play with confidence with the ball and you're not just kind of hoping to get carried.
Being selfless and like confident.
Knowing how to use that 10-ball count as well gives you like those seconds like give your teammates enough time to reset up. Like if you can just hold the line for your teammates to pick up a ball and go to the throw together. Like even if you don't have to throw, even if you give up your dead ball, because I see some people when they go up the line, they just hold the line there and they don't actually throw, and they lose their 10 count and they just roll the ball over. But your team gets they actually have a chance to set up. For the
you might just lose one ball, but now your team's in position.
Right.
Okay, last question from Jamie Headhunter Chan. What are the supposed roles for each position on the court?
You got your corner players playing 1 and 6, and then basically everybody else is a support, middle player. At that point, you kind of fill out as needed. But you got your corner players, and then you got your middle players.
Okay. Depending on which team you're playing, and the positions and the ball distribution might be different, but we're just explaining in the most like common cases for VDL, at least for right now. 1, 3, 5, 6 guys and 2, 4 ladies. And I'm going to start off by explaining what the position of 1 is. You usually get double teamed on the other side. There's 5 and 6 with the ball, and you need to apply enough pressures without getting too exposed. And at the same time, you want to hold your ball as long as possible to apply pressure for as long as you can and move away from the wall to create room for your teammates to sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like 6 is kind of the same thing, but you kind of have a little bit more leeway to push up because you usually have 5 kind of protecting your cross with a ball, and basically pressure your corner to keep your other side pinned down, and you kind of want to move up as far as your 1 because you don't want to move too far ahead. Otherwise, you're gonna get peppered by the balls if your 1 is not moving up. But usually, that will be where your hard gunners are.
Yeah, for 2s, generally, like when girls play 2, a lot of them like to act as shields, or because that 1-to-1 cross is probably the easiest cross to make in the game, or most natural cross to make in the game. And a lot of them start without a ball and just kind of position themselves to make a catch to protect their 1 player. And you can also like move up and sweep balls that go behind you, across from you, or just anywhere near you. If you're standing a little bit further up, you have more time to react to the balls coming from behind you, and you just kind of have more time to stop balls. And on the other side of the court, when you play 5, you're kind of also protecting your corner players. If you have a ball, you're generally there to block, counter throw, and just kind of keep your 6 alive in the same way, and make catches if you don't have a ball, and sweep balls.
So you can do 2-4 for a girl's perspective.
He kind of did say the
Oh,
same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, like basically we cover for the cross for 1, and then it's easier for us to catch the 1 ball. Usually we're only focused on 1, and pretty much, yeah, we move up for sweeping. That's pretty much it. Pretty much the same stuff that you said for 2. Mainly to protect your 1. Especially he's probably the most valuable player, right? The hardest thrower. Usually it's CB or Victor or somebody, right, that you're protecting. For 4,
I'll play 1.
Yeah.
No,
Okay,
don't protect me.
Yeah.
You said
Not
earlier
worth
not
it.
to.
I'm just trying to join the ranks, you know.
Yeah, the 3 amigos. You know? CB, Victor, and Raph. That's how everybody refers.
For position 4,
None of them are amigos.
for position 4, you kind of like want to stand behind 5 and 6, so then you can kind of sweep behind them to grab the balls, or you can play a little bit forward in front of 5 so that you protect his cross. That's what I usually like doing, but I can't sweep in that case because usually it goes behind them and they're in front of me, so I can't really sweep behind them. So it depends what you want to do, if you want to sweep or if you want to protect the cross on 5. Usually 5 is pretty good at protecting themselves, right? Usually they're looking both ways, but usually they're there to tag team for the person in front of them.
If you're playing mid without a ball, you're basically like the secondary sweeper because your 1 is playing against 2 people. The opponent's 5 and 6. Usually they have the balls on the other side, so those 2 balls are usually probably going to go after your 1. So as a secondary sweeper, your job is to try and sweep and maintain one of those balls as soon as it gets thrown, and then your 2 position player will also try and sweep that second ball as well. So that's what your main focus is. And if you start with a ball, what you're trying to do is you're trying to move up as high as you can without exposing yourself too much, but you want to try and gain a lot more control presence on your side so that your corners can also move up to apply more pressure, so you get more of that first opening 10-second court advantage. So those are the main differences when you're playing mid with or without a ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like they have actually a pretty important job during the first 10 seconds because they're gonna try to get the balls on your side, especially after those first throws. Because if they don't do a good job at sweeping it, the rest of your team's gonna be sitting ducks.
Yeah.
When it comes to after the rush, because like one is gonna have a hard time trying. The 1 and 6, they're mostly the people that people are gonna gun for because they're the ones that throw hard. You're gonna try to kill them right as soon as possible to eliminate all the threats from your team right away.
Yeah.
So that middle, they need to sweep the balls in the beginning.
I don't think like roles are specifically defined. You just kind of play to whatever your team has.
Yeah. And
play to your own strengths. You don't have to follow the cookie cutter to win. Like watch Recess, like they play 1, 2, and 6. Start off with the ball.
Yeah.
And
watch Hot Pot. Sometimes they play 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very successful.
Yeah. I mean, and, there are teams as well that they start only with 2 balls because try to throw a quick, try to do a quick at the beginning, but they don't get the ball.
Or 3 quicks.
Yeah. Start with
whatever works for you.
They're both pretty hard. They're both pretty hard. Enzo.
We got a question from Jaclyn Walker, and the question is, why is Christina the sexiest woman on the dodgeball court? It's the juice. It's the juice.
Vincent Pham from Seattle. List of places where the sun don't shine. I think that's good.
I can tell you where he shines.
Showdown against Monica.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And
thanks for watching.
Bye bye.
Alright, let's go get G.
Alright, let's roll.
I want to get the tauntaun. what's tauntaun? Taco wasabi.
Is that
No.